Hello, today I would like to show you the difference between PayslipMaker and Nifty Payroll. So I'm going to compare the two side by side on the same screen so that you can see how PayslipMaker maps onto Nifty Payroll. So whatever features you are used to in PayslipMaker, I'll show you how to reach them in Nifty Payroll. Let's get started. Okay, so I have the two systems open side by side. I have PayslipMaker on the left and Nifty Payroll on the right. So I want to start with PayslipMaker, what you're familiar with, and show you where the different things appear in Nifty Payroll. So on the left here, you have the employee list, the employee data sheet, and employee quick search. In Nifty, you only have the employee list, which is actually a data sheet, not really the list. And then you have employee quick search. So if you want to see your employees, they appear as a list like that. And the other things that are available for the employees, which I'll show you later, appear up here. And then employee quick search is the same as it used to be. Then you have the organization, that's the same. Organization is same on both, and even they look the same. Then you have payslip settings on PayslipMaker, which is the same as payslip options, which has a couple of other things. So if we come to payslips themselves, here on PayslipMaker, in Nifty Payroll, you have payslips, and in addition, I've just said it has the reports. We'll go into a little more detail about the difference between the payslips here and the payslips here, because there is quite a significant difference. But moving on, we look at pay types. That's the next item in PayslipMaker. This is the place where you would come and select what pay types are active in your payroll. In Nifty Payroll, I've changed the name from pay types to payslip items. We'll go into more detail later. Then you have calc rules. Calc rules will map onto, so calc rules is where you say what it is you want to calculate for each person. In PayslipMaker, in Nifty Payroll, you find that here under rates. So like this fellow, we are saying he needs to have NHIF, NSSF, pay, and personal relief. And in this case, it says from which period to which period. And you can see it appears for each person. So the difference between the two is, whereas this one had an employee and then you tick each box, in this one, what was going across was this NHIF, NSSF pay like that. Now it goes vertically, but it captures exactly the same thing. This is just more efficient in the way I designed this one. Okay, so that's calc rules. Auto transactions is the same as computed items. Here's computed items. So in auto transaction, you had a formula, which is what appears here. So you say what is being computed, what is it being computed from, what is the percentage. So it's pretty much the same as what you had in here. Then rates. Now these are the statutory rates, right? So for instance, personal relief is 2,400 for payee. You would see the table here. So in Nifty, that is what this is. So let's say, for instance, you want to see personal relief. Here it is. So here's the 2,400. And if you want to see the current table, there it is. Very similar. Similar in how it looks, but this is different. In this case, it doesn't copy every month. You have the period from, period to, which is basically a major change between the two systems. The next thing is, so we've gone through all that. The next thing is payments. Payments was advances, still available here. Payments and advances. I've changed how it is a little bit. This is much simpler. And then you have loans and leave. I have loans and leave. There's some improvements on loans, but very similar to what it was before. Leave have changed now. It's done per year. In the old one, it was continuous. From when you joined, we would just track your leave till the day you leave. In this case, I have per year, which seems to be the more common way of doing it. Then you have overtime on this side. Actually, you have overtime and wages. Those two have been combined into what I call pay per unit. Pay per unit is pay per day or pay per hour. So what is covered in this is overtime, wages, which is what was there, but in addition you can pay prorated basic, you can pay absence or deduct absence, and you can pay leave. So that's that. That's those two. And then pension has its own module. I had it in PayslipMaker, but it was never activated. Now it is activated and quite sophisticated. In addition to basic pension, you're able to cover the cases where pension becomes a benefit on the individual. This is usually in the case of organizations that are tax exempt, but pension is there. So the last column in PayslipMaker was the administrative one, where you would compact the data file, backup, restore, and data file connector. Those are also here in the admin function. You have backup and restore combined into one. Compact data file is here, compact backend, and data file connector is now called backend relocator. That's more descriptive, a better description of what it is that you're doing. You only do this when you want to move the backend from where it is to somewhere different. Then I have a couple of other things in this. Now, what's new in Nifty Payroll? What's new is, and this is what I said I would come to. So in PayslipMaker, you would put everything directly into the payslips form, and then when you process, it would add the computed items. In Nifty Payroll, all the data input is in these apps A and apps B. So where you used to put, for instance, basic pay as a fixed item, that will go into this form. So you can see in this case, you have basic pay. And the difference is with fixed, you say the months where that item is supposed to be a certain amount. So for instance, this Alan Todd guy has basic pay between January 2022 and March of 4,100. And as you can see, since we are here, you're able to do foreign currency in this one on each item. In PayslipMaker, it was a little bit rudimentary. This is actually a little bit easier the way it works. So the main difference is that in here, fixed simply means that you state the period that item or that amount is active for that employee. And where you see no end, it means start in April 2022 and keep going until the day this is changed. Yes, so that's fixed items. Then you had varying items, which would be copied with 0 amounts. In this case, there is no copy previous month. You notice in here, I don't have any copy previous month. The only thing I have is process. So in this case, if you have varying items, you will post them here, right? So you can just come and add like a bonus here. And you can, I've made the import function of Nifty Payroll quite simple. So it's possible to pick items from Excel. So you would develop your schedule for the varying item in Excel, and then you would come and import it into this varying items sheet over here. And that's the way that is handled instead of directly into payslips like it was in PayslipMaker. So we've talked about pay per unit. The pay per unit rates is something you can set. So it's either based on a formula, or you can decide to put in your values and tick them as fixed so that they don't change. So you could determine what you prefer to be your daily rate and your hourly rate, post them here, say the periods that those rates are effective, and then fix them so that you don't change. Alternatively, if you prefer for the system to calculate it for you, it shows you what the formula is. You set what the base rate is, either basic pay or fixed pay. Fixed pay is the combination of items that remain the same every month. So you want to be able to get the aggregate figure as the base on which you're using to calculate your daily and hourly rate. So you can decide to use the formula, and it will bring the rates in. So it will pick the rates from these fixed items. So if you had, in this case we only have basic pay. If you had, for instance, housing, and it was also sitting here as a fixed item, the system would pick the sum of the basic and the housing and use that to calculate the daily and the hourly rate. Okay, so that's how the rates come to be. And so we've looked at that, we've looked at advances. So I've done a SACCO module to help with managing multiple SACCOs especially. And you can put in the different items. Either the person is saving or the person is repaying a loan. You can indicate what the items are. And you're able to make changes. So you have a fixed component where it will be the same every month. And then you have, if someone wants to vary for a month, but it doesn't mean that they've stopped doing the fixed for the rest of the months, you can come in and put a varying component, and that's what will be posted in the month that you say. Now, all the benefits and reliefs that affect taxation, rather than putting them directly into the payslips, now I've created modules to handle those. So for instance, car benefit, you would just, in PayslipMaker, you would select the person, you would look for car benefit here and put the amount. In this case, you would come and you put your car benefit here, like this, including, in addition, the information that is required for the iTax sheet. So there is car benefit, so like even insurance relief, the iTax sheet is quite, it requires all this information, or at least all these fields are available on the P10, the KRA P10. So you're able to put in that information here so that you can get your iTax sheet directly from the system. So all the benefits that it's handling are car benefit. Other benefits is, here's the list: electricity, water, furniture, and phone. That's what's covered in other benefits. Then you have house benefit. This is whether someone is housed by the company or not. So there are different rules about if it's a farmhouse, if it's an ordinary house, etc. And then pension we've talked about. Home relief is owner-occupied interest and affordable housing. Those are the two reliefs that relate to homes. So these items that affect taxation, now you would enter, where you would enter it directly in payslips, now you're entering it in this. And then when you process, the system now picks everything from these modules that affects that month and then builds the payslips there. And then, like I said, in payslips you had your reports list here, which was a long list. You had to scroll down, and what I've done here now is to make the list visible. There are 5 columns. I don't have a scroller here, so I'm not able to show you, but you'll see there are 5 columns with all the different reports. So it's much easier to see the report that you want. So it gave me a bit more flexibility, and I added a few things just to make it a little easier. So that's primarily how the two relate. You can see they're very similar, but when it comes to input, there's a significant difference. And this makes life a lot easier, especially if you're not very clear on the rules. Because one of the things that, so for pension, I had enabled you to do the allowed portion as as a computed field, so it would check for you. But I had never put in the insurance relief limit. So some people get confused like this. The insurance relief limit is 5,000 shillings currently, but that includes NHIF insurance. So if a person has a qualified insurance scheme that they've put in the system, and they put more than they were supposed to in the payslips, it would deduct the amount that they put in, which is not correct. It's supposed to be limited to 5,000 bob. So in this case, when you process, some of those things are taken care of. And you can see the limits that, okay, let me just open this kabisa. So you can see the limits here, like, so for instance, is it insurance? So it's total insurance. The limit is 5,000 shillings. All right, and then other limits are here, like pension. The limit is 20,000, and this can be changed. You can see it's for a certain period. So for instance, this home savings stopped being effective 2020 December. It was 4,000 maximum, but it has stopped. So now, even if you tried, the system would not pick it. So the reliefs are there. Great. So I shall go into more detail about each item in tutorials to come.